I can understand like going into a sliding stop, taking a second, roll back, move on. I don't love seeing people that go, okay, we're going to side pass, spin, and then immediately move forward. It just makes it seem a little bit more rushed, and usually the horses will look a little bit more rushed and less relaxed. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay. If you're new here, hello, welcome. Today's video is another video talking about the Mustang Magic competition that happened in January. I'm getting over a little bit of a bug that I have had for like 2 weeks. So I've got a little bit of voice stuff still going on, bear with me. Today we're gonna be looking at Compulsory. I wanted to look at the top 3 for freestyles, but it's looking like I'm not gonna find video footage for those ones. So I'm bummed, but we can at least watch the Compulsory today. I'll walk you guys through, I think, the top 5 this time since we don't have other videos to go through. We talked a little bit in my last video about maneuvers, the Mustang Maneuvers class. How that one to me seemed less like a pattern class and more of just when you hit this certain spot on the rail, you want to pick up the trot or the extended trot. This is more of an actual pattern, and to me it looks mostly similar to a reining pattern. We're gonna go through the pattern first so that we kind of all know what we're looking for. Discussing the pattern aspect of things. When it comes to reading patterns, you wanna make sure that if there's something dictating you need to go to the center of the arena, you need to go to the center of the arena. That might seem like something that is obvious to some. For example, like the backup. If you're backing up 6 steps, like it says in the pattern, this looks like those 6 steps should take you about to that center point. So when you're loping down, you want to go just past center and figure out where it is that you need to stop to be able to hit center when you back up. So as far as the pattern goes, they enter the arena at a lope, they're going to go past center, stop, and do a rollback. After that rollback, they're going to pick up the lope once more, stop past center, and then back up 6 steps. To be able to face the other direction, they're going to do a 1 1/4 spin to the right and then complete a side pass to the right. One quick thing to note here too, I didn't realize that it doesn't dictate how far in the side pass that you need to go. It doesn't say how many steps you need to go. What I would assume at this point is they want to see a very clear definition of said side pass. I would probably go for at least 4 steps, if not 4 big crossovers. That would be a good question for your judges at a competition like this. You always want to clarify things like that. If a judge is really just nonchalant about it, then it won't necessarily affect your scores as far as how many steps you go. But if a judge is really looking for you to go a certain distance, they can clarify that for you at the competition. After they do the previous spin and side pass, they're going to do 1 full spin to the left, side pass to the left. Like we mentioned before, you want to look at your pattern for this. So what I would say is that for each side pass direction, you want them to be the same number so that you wind up in the same position to start. After all the side passes and pivots, they're going to pick up the right lead, ask for a large lope circle to the right, switch leads in the center, do a large lope circle to the left. And this is an interesting one for me. It doesn't say to stop your horse or break to a trot. It just says slow your horse and exit the arena. So we'll see that in some of the patterns that some people decide to break to a trot, break to a walk. It's so open-ended that it's potentially like, hey, if you were lope to a stop, then that could be a higher degree of difficulty. However, what about a lope to a walk and you being able to demonstrate an extra element because they already have a lope and a stop? They're just some things that it's always good to ask your judges about instead of just relying on what you're guessing in the pattern. You just never know what exactly a judge is going to be looking for. So look at your pattern, try to make your best judgment, but don't be afraid to ask the judges beforehand what they want to see. They're the ones discussing your scores. 5th place was Krista Smith and Kohana Cascade. She received a 57.5, and actually now that I'm looking at it, the compulsory scores were pretty close for the top 5. It was less than 5 points from the 5th place to the 1st place spot, so that's pretty dang tight. I like that she's really giving her horse her head during this lope in. I think if I'm remembering right, oh dang, I don't think there was a backup there. So kind of interesting idea to go into a backup unless she wasn't attempting to immediately go into that. So since that wasn't in the pattern, that's not something that I would prefer to see. It could be just a little bit of a miscommunication between horse and rider. But if you're gonna lope in and she did a roll back to the left, wait, what lead was she on? Oh, now I have to go back. Okay, so she comes in on the left lead. It's interesting. Okay. Comes in on the left. Does an okay stop, back up, spin to the left, and then picks up the left lead again. I would honestly think, it's not in the pattern, but just to demonstrate different elements, I would think right lead first if you're going to do a roll back to the left. I don't know that that's something that is really that important because again, it's not in the pattern. But just to demonstrate that, yep, my horse can pick up the right lead or it can pick up the left lead. You're gonna have to do that on a lope circle anyway, so I guess it doesn't totally matter. Second stop, I think, was a little bit softer. That looked like a lot more than 6 steps, but I think she was trying to get back to center more than just, Jesus. I think she was trying to get back to center more than count the steps. So maybe that was something that the judges discussed beforehand, that they more wanted to see you back on center or just see a nice strong backup. I like that she's kind of settling a little bit. Sometimes people rush these patterns a little bit backwards in the spin. I'd like to see more forward. You could see her backing around the left hind instead of pivoting on the right hind. It was not very much for the side pass. I'd like to see more steps. I do like this horse. I think the first pivot might have been better than that one. That one she didn't seem to really stick very well. So only a few steps again for the side pass, but she came back to the center. I potentially would have settled a little bit before asking for that right lead. It kind of didn't look like she was on a very good bend, and it's hard going from a side pass to the left to bend your horse and then pick up the right lead. Nice simple change. So degree of difficulty wise, flying change would get you potentially more points if you could do it neat enough. But if you don't do it cleanly, a simple change that's clean could still score higher than a messy flying change. Interesting slow down there. So again, that's where it's a little bit funky discussing a slow down into the exit, because you just can't really dictate what gait that means. I don't know if that makes any sense to people other than me. I didn't love the way that she slowed down. It looked like she was in a good confident lope and then almost did like a half halt instead of a slow down to a jog or walk. I would love to see just a nice quiet transition into a jog, not one that's a little bit jumbly to get into it. The next rider is Levi Beachy with Midnight Bell. He got a 59, so just 1.5 points higher than Krista. Nice slope in. I again like that the hands are nice and low. Oh, stop was a little rough. First of all, because the hip kind of came in and the head popped up. I would have liked the head to stay down. That stop was a little bit better. It was still kind of bracy, but not bad. The backup, it's decent steps, but I feel like it was kind of heavy on the forehand. Oh, this pivot is definitely better than Krista's for sure. The horse stayed on that, mostly on the right hind. Decent side pass. Nice. Little step out there with the left foot, but pretty good pivot. I like those nice big steps in the side pass. That's one point where if you're only getting 3 or 4 steps, but you're getting those big steps, I think it's fine. Nice pick up into the lope. I think the one thing that I would like is, as much as this rider's hands are down low, but I would like to see a little bit longer rein. He's trying to give the horse his head, but they're just a little bit tight. Pretty good simple transition, simple change. See, I like that transition down more. It was very gentle into a trot. You can break from a lope to a trot to slow to exit the arena, but he did it in a way that was very quiet instead of a little bit jumbly down into it. In third place, we have Craig Moore with Black Widow, received a 60.5, so 1.5 points. Oh, that's funny. Exactly 1.5 points between fifth and fourth and third. And third and second. That's funny. Okay, so he definitely is riding with a looser rein. That horse is moving. Again, a little bit bracy in the stop with head up in the air. I did not like, the rollback was like fine, but I didn't like that the horse went into a trot instead of a lope. And that stop again was really bracy. That backup I think was better. I feel like that spin was trying to be fast, but it missed the mark on a little bit of the accuracy. I would have preferred more forward movement. Side pass was fine. That pivot looked better to me than the right. Pretty good side pass to the left. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I kind of like that instead of just going straight into trying to pick up the right lead, because these horses are green, you need to make sure that they are on the correct bend to be able to pick up the correct lead. What he did was, instead of just going from here, we're on a left bend and a left side pass, to trying to pick up that lead, he asked the horse to do a couple steps over. Whether or not he was trying to get forward movement with that or just get the horse to bend, I really liked that. It just set the horse up for success. Decent lope. Nice and quiet. I like that the horse kind of slowed down. That first lope in was really fast. This looks like she's slowing down a little more. It was fine, simple change. I didn't love all the tail swishing and that the head was kind of up in the air, but it was still a decent, calm transition, not anything crazy. I think I like the last slow down, the fourth place slow down, a little bit more than this one. I think it just looked a little bit smoother in the last one. Second place is Chris Phillips with WFR Mocha Bay Latte. They got a 61.5. One thing to mention too, Project Equestrian did an interview with Chris Phillips. I'm just shocked. I'm so impressed. The man didn't start riding horses until he was 45, and he's in his 50s now and just won this competition, and I just think that that is so cool. I think that a lot of the equestrian world is under a lot of pressure to be good at a young age, and it makes me feel good that I don't have to rush. I don't know what it is with this horse. Every time I watch it lope, she always has her ears pinned. I don't know why that is. Okay, so stop was fine. That pivot was not cute. When you're doing a rollback, the horse should be light on the front end. And when they pivot on the front end, they're putting all their weight there instead of rolling back onto their hips to be able to pivot around. I think, if I'm remembering right, I think they did that in another class. I might be totally wrong. I can't totally remember. I would like to see the horse come off of its front end so much when it comes to pivots. Better stop on that one. I'm still like slightly jumbly, but not bad. Backup is a touch slow, but it was nice big steps. And the horse maintained a lower carriage that whole time. See, kind of swung its butt out there. I think that probably was a little bit more user error than horse. But that pivot was a lot better than the rollback. This is where I think he rushes a little bit. I would like to see him slow down a little bit. that pivot is not good. I wonder if the horse just needs left pivot work, because I think he pivoted to the left, and that's the roll back to the left. Nice side pass there, and he did a lot of steps, which I really like. He's going to pick up the right lead here. You can see him kind of bump with that left. Yes. Oh, the hip in to pick up that right lead was beautiful. That's the way to get the correct bend, to really get your horse onto the right lead. I've got something floating right in front of my face. God, I loved that. That was so good. Do that. Ooh, nice. Okay, so he did a flying change, which at this stage is so hard to accomplish with these Mustangs that are 4 months out of the wild. 4 months of training to accomplish a perfect flying change is a little bit crazy. It definitely wasn't perfect by any means, but the horse didn't pop up, the horse didn't kick out, the horse didn't buck at all. It was just a change over to the other side. There was quite a bit of tail swishing, and I think that getting the horse to move a little bit more in its hips would probably be able to help him really push the horse's hip over to get that horse to switch leads more naturally without it being like, let's just shift our weight over. This slowdown, I think, happened too soon. I would have preferred, he had a lot of room to be able to prep for a slowdown instead of slowing down way back here. I would have preferred to see a slowdown at center. If you're following an actual pattern, that was way too early, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I actually think that I would prefer to watch people walk the horses out of the arena. That's not something that's, on the pattern. It just said slow down, but I think it just kind of gives the horse a chance to catch their breath, especially when they're doing a big figure 8 at the lope. All right, first place in Compulsory was Justice Jacobs with Carmela. I am so sorry. I absolutely butchered her name. I don't know where I saw an I, but in the last video, I kept calling her Carmelia or Camellia or something. I butchered her name, so I'm so sorry. They received a 62.5 difference between second and first place, which is crazy to have scores that tight. I really wonder if people were like trying to get a lot of speed to be able to slide, because it just seems like a lot of people were kind of running in. I liked her stop. I could see why that one did well. Rollback wasn't bad. I think with time, this horse will potentially start to carry itself a little bit better with its headset. It's not bad by any means, but it was a pretty good backup too. Just for observation, that was a nice fast one, but I don't love how high his hands were, how much movement there was in his hands. You want your cues to be as quiet as possible, and I just felt like his hands being so high and so over made it a little distracting for me. Nice side pass. He could sit just a little bit more square, but that's just me nitpicking. That was a nice pivot. The side pass right there, he kind of started off with the hip being too far ahead, but then he corrected it and the horse got a little bit straighter. You want to make sure the horse is straight as possible. Pretty decent side pass. Getting yourself settled. Take a second to recover before asking for changes. Not my favorite pickup. So he kind of gave himself a second, pushed the horse's hip over to get them to pick up the left or the right lead. I just felt like he was a little bit jumbly. I'm not too sure why that was. So far, good lope circle. I don't know what it is with this horse and swishing their tail. That happened a lot in the last video too. Oh, see, I really liked Chris Phillips' lead change compared to this one. That one seemed more of that forcing it over instead of trying to get the horse used to moving the hind end a little bit more. You can see he kind of almost throws himself over to get the horse to shift weight and change gears. So he's really focused on the right, and then he's going to kind of throw. It's just not my favorite look. You could do it at a faster pace and get the horse to change leads. To make it look neater, you want to do it quieter, slower, more collected. So the pattern didn't ask for a stop, it asked for a slow down. I don't know the thought process for a judge, what's gonna make the difference with that. I do kind of feel like if you're gonna break to an actual stop, you have to decide that ahead of time, and I don't know if he really did. I felt like it was kind of like, oh, let's slow down, and then, oh, I guess we'll just stop. It didn't look like, okay, I'm gonna prep this horse for a lope to the center and then slide into a stop. It looked more like, oh, I'm gonna walk, just kidding, we're gonna stop, and then we're gonna walk. That was it for the top 5 for compulsory. Let me know what you guys think, and if you disagree on things or what things that you would have liked to see improve. This was not my favorite class to watch, to be honest. I think that I preferred the Mustang Maneuvers class over this one, and I don't know, I saw Amber Espinoza from Isidro Espinoza Horsemanship had mentioned something about they took the time limit away. So I don't know if this class used to be timed where people feel more rushed and they have to get these maneuvers done. I just would like to see people do a maneuver, kind of settle for a minute. I can understand like going into a sliding stop, taking a second, roll back, move on. I don't love seeing people that go, okay, we're gonna side pass, spin, and then immediately move forward. It just makes it seem a little bit more rushed, and usually the horses will look a little bit more rushed and less relaxed. If you guys enjoyed it, feel free to let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, ding the notification bell, do all the things, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.